the 8 forms of capital, as you've seen in the earlier section, is one that was inspired from permaculture. And with its such holistic view of money, of wealth, of the resources that we have as a society, you see that it's not really just about accumulating one form of capital or the other, but really growing in all 8 forms. And it builds greater resilience across the curation and the practice of all these other different forms of capital. So when we think about wealth, we begin to think about this beyond just financial capital or money or social or intellectual capital as society often prides. So perhaps when you rethink the notions of wealth, what other areas of wealth can you begin to build? One of the biggest things I learned as I spent some time in New Zealand was finding that, wow, my Maori friends were so wealthy with the cultural capital that they had in the preservation of their language, their native language, their historical stories and artifacts of how they spent time with their ancestors, and also thinking through how the stories of their ancestors were shared across generations. And when I thought about my own ancestry and my own genealogy, I realized how little I knew about my own culture. It was really one of the first moments where I realized that, oh my, I am very not so wealthy in this regard when it comes to cultural capital. It's a bit of a existential thing where you begin to realize that there are things that go beyond money, like the essence of our culture and our heritage when it comes to our own families, and wow, like how do you preserve them for the long run? And that was really a turning point too, when I realized that money can't buy culture. In that sense, I had to take time and invest time to learn about my own family history. So perhaps for you, it's in other areas. It could be in experiential capital, where you're looking at building new skills to learn, to grow in a specific area. It could also be a different form of culture in perhaps a financial capital, right? Learning to manage your money better and to know the wisdom behind how to make money work for you. Perhaps it could also be in spiritual capital. So it's really an exploration and a time of adventure to begin to ask yourself, what are some of the seasons in this life, in this time, that you would like to kind of contemplate and think about what forms of capital that you want to build that's relevant for you in this season of life. And perhaps when you begin to identify a particular capital, you can also ask yourself why, and go through that process, perhaps even 5 times. Why would I want to build this particular capital? And you'll be surprised at what fundamentally drives you. And you can, be honest with yourself as you think also about what are these forms of capitals for and why they matter to you in this season.